Morning, folks. Welcome back to Threes In. Bubba is here with you. Been a couple of weeks since I've been on the channel. Earlier in the month, I decided to play along with Air Force tradition of growing a mustache in the month of March, something that Robin Olds introduced for us. I still like to hang on to some of those traditions and whatnot. I enjoy it. Anyway, so this is the best I could do after 2 weeks, which is probably not too bad, but be that as it may. I'm going to pick up a thread now, the 54 thread, which represents what UPT was like 54 years ago in 1970-71. I was class 7107 at Randolph. That being said, from the 9th of March through the 24th, I was primarily focused on four-ship, the four-ship phase of T-38 training. During that period, there were 5 other rides that I flew, one solo contact, a couple of instrument rides, and a nav sortie or 2. Okay, that filled up that 2 weeks, and boy, did I love it. I also really enjoyed four-ship. I don't know what it was, just the excitement of it all. The briefing, going out, hopping into the jets, firing them up and taking off. God, it was just a lot of fun. The only thing I did not like about four-ship were those damn position changes. Those things were horrifying. They were a pain in the neck. And they used to give me chills telling you about it. What we had to do in those days is, during the briefing, you had to write down what everybody's position was for the initial takeoff. They use a call sign Terry. That's what our call signs were in those days. Terry, 17, lead 2, 3, and 4. And then we had our tail numbers, like lead might be an 8103, 2 and 8124, 3 and triple nickel, 555, and whatnot. You get the idea. Okay, that became critical when we did our position changes, because what we would do is get up there straight and level in echelon formation, and the leader would kick us all out into a route or loose route formation, 2 to 4 ship widths out. And then he'd come on, he'd say, Terry, 17 flight, position change. And I don't know who came up with this idea, but the guy ought to be dragged out of the Corps and shot. And what would happen is he would say, all right, Terry 172 in aircraft 8103 becomes lead. Terry 173 in aircraft 8177 becomes 2. Terry 174 in aircraft 2129 becomes 3. And lead in aircraft 8111 becomes 4. Acknowledge. And then everybody in the formation had to acknowledge that sequence just as he had read it off. Meanwhile, we're chugging along through the area at 300 knots, and that's with no wind. If you were going west, you gained a little bit of time. If you're going east and you had a tailwind with you, it got a little dicey, because by the time everybody acknowledged, now lead, the old lead, is out of position. It's up to him to come back and then cross under and then get into position. And that ate up a lot of airspace doing it that way. Oh, good God. And that was the most terrifying thing. Not the aerobatics, not the pitch outs and rejoins, not what anything else we did. Those damn position changes could make a difference on how the ride went. And I hated them. I remember when I got my assignment back to T-38s when I was at Korat in Thailand, the thing, I went, yay, I'm going back to T-38. And then I thought, 4-ship position changes, what a pain in the ass. I hope they've done something about it. Well, thank God they did. They streamlined it really quite a bit to where it was nowhere near as terrifying as it was in 1970. And for that, I'll be eternally grateful. That being said, like I indicated here a couple moments ago, 4-ship was rather straightforward by and large, with the exception of a ride that I flew on the 17th of March. 1971. On that ride, we had 4 of us, and it was all dual for one reason or another. No, wait a minute. It might have been 2 dual and 2 solos. It was. The Great Dane, Chris Knutson, and I were solo, and the 2 duals were flying with the flight commander, Ford Barrett, and Dan Bowes, one of the flight IPs. Now, I don't know what it was about. I don't care. Still don't know. But Ford and Dan had gotten into a pissing contest about some damn thing or another. And as students, we had no clue what was going on, but we could sense the tension in the briefing. When we came back and landed, there were 2 unsats and 2 fares on that mission. Chris and I both got the fares, I think because we were solo, and Dan and his students both pinked the rides. And I remember that was a sober debriefing. Chris and I still laugh about that today. What the hell we do? We don't know, but we earned fares. That's the only fare I got in the T-38 program, by the way, and I think I got that because I was just tagging along for the ride. But be that as it may, it was a wonderful experience flying 4-ship. And I'd be remiss in not telling you, years later, when I went back to the 560th Flying Training Squadron, involved with Pitt, in the DO shop up at headquarters ATC was a man named Bum Phillips, and he was a big man, and I knew the name. He was just familiar, and I knew the name. And as I was preparing for this presentation, I looked at who I flew with on my 4-ship check, and sure enough, it was William Phillips. And on that ride, I got an excellent. So with that being said, I can tell you that guy had an eye for talent, and I really appreciated that. So that being said, that's kind of a synopsis of our 4-ship, and that takes me up to the 24th of March, 1971. And with that, I only had 5 sorties left with a graduation date of 24 April. And I'll tell you about those here in upcoming presentations soon. That being said, this is Bobo. It's great to see everybody. Base gear. Stop.